I feel like it should go without saying, but the Charlotte Hornets are a joke of a franchise. Easily the worst ran organization possibly in NBA history, definitely in the NBA right now. In fact, Charlotte is so bad at running an organization, I made a whole list, and this is off the top of my head. This took me like 5 minutes, but I made a whole list of Charlotte Hornets L's. And then when I try to make a list of some good things that the Hornets did, I only came up with 3 things, and it was allowing Brandon Miller to start, finally letting LaMelo have full control of the offense, and finally starting Mark Williams after like 40 games of him just riding the bench, and then him going from being a bench player to just getting some minutes as a backup, and now he's finally starting. But this video isn't about how bad the Charlotte Hornets are as a franchise. I feel like everybody knows that. This video is about how the Charlotte Hornets are failing LaMelo Ball. But before I get into it, if you like videos like this, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps out in the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe. I'm trying to make a late push to 1,000. So if you want to be a part of the journey, hit that sub button. Hornets are once again towards the bottom of the Eastern Conference. And at the time of this recording, they're around like the 13th spot in the Eastern Conference outside of the play-in tournament. They're a bad offense, a way worse defense, and they are bottom 5 in net rating. And the only real positive so far for the Hornets this year has been LaMelo Ball. Yes, both Brandon Miller and Mark Williams have looked really good this year, but a lot of that has to do with LaMelo Ball because he's been setting those guys up pretty well, especially Mark Williams, as the Mark Williams and LaMelo Ball pick and roll is a real thing. But as far as LaMelo Ball is concerned, he's been having the best season of his career so far. LaMelo is emerging as one of the best young point guards in the NBA, if not the best. And this 8-game stretch that he went on just further proves that point. During this stretch, LaMelo was putting up 32 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 8 assists on damn near 50, 45, 90 splits. Granted, his turnovers were high, but I'm not going to put too much of that on LaMelo just because the Hornets offense just sucks. He's obviously going to be prone to turn the ball over and make more mistakes. But what I find really impressive is during this stretch, he was taking nearly 10 threes a game, and he was putting up nearly 45% from 3. And people really don't talk about this when it comes to LaMelo. He is a sniper, bro. Whether it be off the catch, off the dribble, at the top of the key, off a pick and roll, you name it. Like, he's going to knock down the 3. And also during this stretch, LaMelo has been playing well against teams that are borderline contenders or just teams that are winning. And yeah, most of these games didn't end up in wins, and that's just another case of the Hornets being bad, not LaMelo. Like versus Miami, he had 28, 6, and 11. Defense was obviously putting pressure on him as he had 8 turnovers, but he was still able to produce enough. Versus New York, 32, 7, and 6, an efficient game and played some good defense. Against Milwaukee, which was the in-season tournament game, 37, 5, and 5. Against Dallas, a 30-point triple-double, 30, 10, and 13 on 62% true shooting. Like, this is the best version of LaMelo Ball that I've seen so far. It seems like he's finally unleashed as a scorer, and the playmaking has taken another leap. But even with LaMelo doing all of this, the Hornets are still not doing right by him. First of all, defensively, I mean, the personnel sucks. LaMelo isn't the greatest defender himself, but at least surround him with decent defenders. Terry Rozier is not a good defender in the slightest. Miles Bridges is alright, but he's not reliable. Gordon Hayward is not really that great of a defender. He never was, but he got significantly worse after all those injuries he went through. And even most of the guys on the bench aren't really that great defensively either. The only people that I could really see being like really solid defenders for this team are Brandon Miller, because he has insane defensive potential. Mark Williams, obviously, because he's a great rim protector and he's somewhat switchable actually, and PJ Washington, who's a pretty good help defender. And when it comes to the Hornets offense, I mean, their team is just filled with a bunch of shot creators. In the NBA, there's a difference between a play finisher and a shot creator. And the comparison that I want to make is to the Indiana Pacers, because the Pacers, they have a ton of play finishers on their team. You got Benedict Mathurin, you got Buddy Hield, Bruce Brown, even Miles Turner at times can do something on the perimeter. But what makes them better than the Hornets in this department is they have capable 3-point shooters as well. Miles Turner at 35%, Bruce Brown at 34%. Aaron Nesmith at 40%, Buddy Hield at 42%. Like, all these guys are taking a sizable amount of threes, and they are a lot more reliable from behind the arc than the Charlotte Hornets. When you look at the surrounding pieces that LaMelo has, you have Miles Bridges, who's a below average 3-point shooter, although admittedly he is playing pretty well ever since he came back, but A, it's a small sample size and I don't see it being sustained throughout the entire season, and B, like I said earlier, he's a below average 3-point shooter for his career. The only times where Miles Bridges and LaMelo Ball really connect on offense is on the fast break, and that's just because LaMelo, he can just easily find guys on transition. Like, the Hornets could get a stop and then LaMelo could just dart a pass over to Bridges and he gets a layup. It's the same thing with Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier, he is just a undersized shooting guard playing next to LaMelo Ball, and the fit is horrible. He's a below average 3-point shooter despite him taking 8 threes a game, and he's not a great off-ball presence. He's not a play finisher at all. He's just a shot creator. Hypothetically speaking, if you were to replace Buddy Hield with Terry Rozier in Indiana, if you were to just swap those two, you would see Indiana's offense take a dip, and then you would see Charlotte's offense get better, because when your offense is surrounded by one guy's playmaking, you need as much spacing as possible. And I'm looking at some of these shooters on the Hornets. LaMelo Ball is legitimately shooting the best on this team. Gordon Hayward, who was somebody that I could possibly see being like a good spot up guy for this team, he's playing like hot ass. He's shooting 41% from the field, 33 from 3, and only putting up 13 a game. Mind you, this guy is 33, getting paid $30 million a year. And I'm not saying this to discredit what Tyrese Halliburton is doing in Indiana right now, but if you were to put similar pieces next to LaMelo Ball, guys who can shoot, guys who can play finish, guys who can come off screens and spot up for 3, if you were to just put those guys next to LaMelo Ball, he would be doing similar things to what Tyrese Halliburton is doing right now. And while I don't think that, one guy carrying the playmaking department is something that is going to help win a championship, I do think that if the Hornets were to make that switch, then LaMelo Ball would be at his fullest potential. I've always been in favor of PJ Washington starting over Miles Bridges. For like 2 years, I've been waiting for the Hornets to finally let go of Terry Rozier, and I've been waiting for the day that the Hornets finally get off of Gordon Hayward's contract. If all 3 of those guys were gone right now, the Hornets offense would be so much better, and we would see an even better version of LaMelo Ball. And that's the thing with some of these teams with young stars on them, like the Pistons, for example. Sometimes a young player shines when their team is ass, right? Like currently what LaMelo was doing before his injury. And then there are other situations where the team being bad is actively making the player worse. And that's what's been going on with Cade Cunningham in Detroit. Side note, that could be a future video. If you want to see that, like and comment down below. But yeah, man, if the Hornets are just going to keep going in this direction, especially after Michael Jordan is not the owner anymore, so they don't have to be in mediocrity or just being plain bad, then LaMelo Ball really needs to consider requesting a trade, because this organization does not care about him in the slightest. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button. If you like videos like this, make sure to hit that sub button. I'm on the way to 1,000 subs. If you want to be a part of that journey, make sure to hit that sub button. Like I said, follow all my links down below, and I'm out. Peace.